Hi, my name is Danielle Campbell. The question that I chose to do my interviews on was, is it ever okay to break a promise? I decided to interview three different people, including my grandmother, my mother, and my fiance. So, my first question was, is it ever okay to break a promise? And we're going to start with my grandmother's answers. And to that question, she said, it depends on the circumstances, but typically, no, it is not okay to break a promise. However, there are circumstances where someone may be in harm's way, and then you may need to speak up, with that said promise that you were originally supposed to be keeping. My second question was, when would it be okay to break a promise? And that kind of goes back to the harm thing, but her answer was, ethnically, it is not okay to break a promise. However, again, in some situations, it could be considered dangerous to keep that promise. Excuse me. The third question was, has she ever broken a promise? And she said, yes, she's sure that she has broken a promise before, but it was probably in the greater good that she did. Um, she wouldn't just break a promise because of, her own beliefs. My fourth question was, how would you feel if someone broke a promise to you? And her response to that was she would feel sad, but depending on the situation, if they had good intentions behind it, it might make her feel better about the situation. And my last question for her was, do you think people only promise to keep your secret so that you'll tell them that information? And her answer to that is, well, it's in our human nature to agree to gain information. So sometimes, depending on who you're dealing with, people don't always have the greatest intentions and they could just be looking to gather information on you or however. So the second person that I interviewed was my fiance. I asked him the same five questions. So, number one, it was, is it ever okay to break a promise? His answer back to that was no, because you should keep your word to people. And I believe that also. If you say you're going to, well, I see both sides. If you say you're going to have someone's word and you should keep it, um, but also if somebody's in harm's way, it may be better to speak up. So there's just different situations on how you would handle that. The second question I asked him was, when would it be okay to break a promise? Again, he said, never. It shows bad character. Again, I agree and disagree with that, just depending on the situation. Have you ever broken a promise? He said yes, because he didn't have the means to fulfill the promise, or something else came up. Excuse me, that made it necessary to share said promise. How would you feel if someone broke a promise to you? He said he would be disappointed. He trusted this person with his word and they let him down. It would be like a betrayal. Um, and I understand that as well. And lastly, for him, do you think people only promise to keep a secret so you'll share that secret and they can get, information and be nosy? And his answer to that was, possibly. I think people can be nosy in certain situations. And I agree that people can be nosy in certain situations. It really just goes back to who you surround yourself with, who you confide in, and that sort of thing. Excuse me. Lastly, I interviewed my mom. The same five questions. Is it ever okay to break a promise? She said no, because you committed to someone that you would keep it for them and you should follow with that. When would it be okay to break a promise? She said if it was harmful or something that goes out of your control. A situation where, if you don't speak up, someone gets hurt or something like that. Obviously, that gets to a bigger situation than what you had originally planned it to be. And in them situations, it might be best for everybody if you do speak up. Um, has she ever broken a promise? And her answer to that was no, she believes that when she gives someone her word to keep it. And I can vouch and say that's correct. My mom's one of them people, and unless it does serve a greater good, that she's just going to keep it between you and her, and I've always appreciated her for that. She's definitely someone I've confided in my whole life, and she's very trustworthy. How would you feel if someone broke a promise to you? Um, she said disappointed, and like they would, break that trust that she put in them in the first place to go to them with this promise. It would kind of just blur the line of being trustworthy in her eyes anymore. And lastly, do you think people only promise to keep a secret so you'll tell them said secret or to be nosy? And she said sometimes not everyone has good intentions. Um, to further on that, some people just want to hear the tea, and um, they just like the drama aspect of it, not so much what you're going through or what your secret may be. It's more so um, just the drama stance of it. Um, and in some circumstances, people will say, yeah, you can trust me with your secret, I won't break it. And next thing you know, they're talking to somebody else, and then it's getting spread around, and that's what they were aiming for all along, was just something to spread and talk about. And you really have to watch who you trust in, um, when you're telling secrets, especially um, your more um, in-depth secrets, your more serious matters. It really matters who you go to and who you confide in, because not everybody has good intentions. Not everybody wants to keep your trust. So it's really important that you always know who you're talking to, and who they are to you and what you mean to them. So that was my three interviews. I did the one with my grandmother at 12:53 this afternoon. With my fiance, it was at 6 o'clock p.m., and then my mom was shortly after that at 6:18 p.m. I really enjoyed doing this. It was nice to get different people's aspects on this certain topic, and things that I could agree and disagree with, and just opening my eyes to a broader spectrum when it comes to this question. So thank you so much for having me. Y'all have a good night.